Thomas Edison got his patent for the incandescent lamp at 33 years old. Hey 33-year-olds, have you invented the equivalent of the light bulb yet? This one can't hurt me, I'm still a few years away from 33. Today, while watching a video essay entitled In Defense of Inefficiency by Zoe B., I was confronted with a profound sense of inadequacy in the adult that I currently am. It's the same feeling that berated me as a kid when I'd read about child prodigies, and the same feeling that would confront me in high school when I'd compare myself to my smarter peers. If I was so smart, why wasn't I trying just a little bit harder to be the stuff of textbooks or the top of the honor roll in school as well? Wanting to be the very best wasn't just reserved for Pokemon. Oh no, being in the top tier wasn't enough. I wanted to be at the very pinnacle of the echelon. Is that the right way to use those words? Maybe? I do have a very strong desire to flaunt my intellectual side right now. How embarrassing would it be if those weren't the correct ways to use those words? I'm realizing that desire to be the best was probably born out of societal comparison and just the wrong way subconsciously instilled in me for determining value in the world. But that's a topic for a different day. For now, let's confront that deep inadequacy that I've continued to feel over the years. It seems this feeling of insufficiency in my achievements is often activated by an awareness of my age, this obvious indicator of one very specific trait I share with someone else. You're 29? I'm 29. Thomas Edison got his patent for the incandescent lamp at 33 years old. Hey 33-year-olds, have you invented the equivalent of the light bulb yet? This one can't hurt me, I'm still a few years away from 33. It's so easy to mark milestones by the age that we accomplish something at, with the subconscious understanding that the earlier, the quicker we achieve, the better. I expected to already have a child or two at this age. I don't yet. My younger sister already has 2. Does that make me a failure? Is she more accomplished? In passing in her video, Zoe mentions that she was a baby in the 90s and flashes an adorable picture of young her across the screen. I was born in the 90s. Here I was watching a well-written, well-reasoned, well-researched video essay by someone the same age as me. She spent time as a college professor before transitioning to making YouTube videos. After discovering her the day I started writing this script, the 2 videos I'd seen of hers are the epitome of content I adore seeing on YouTube. Here is an intelligent, interesting woman who I can relate to in a lot of ways, who has already seemingly achieved what I consider an incredible career and calling, putting such wonderful content into the world. I have no doubt her work is going to change our world for the better. If I had made different choices, or just tried a little bit harder when I was younger, could that have been me? That's the sort of feeling, that's what gets you, you know? These feelings are incredibly interesting to experience at this current crossroads of my life. I have just decided that I'm going to try here on YouTube. Necessarily, part of this decision includes not quite knowing what I'm going to make here yet, as the very process of creating is going to guide my decisions and understanding of what's important to me and what's fun and what I enjoy making and what I value making. It's going to guide my passion and refine my skill by just doing, right? And while watching her, the fact that I don't experientially know how to make a good video essay like that really annoyed me. My urge to be great at things immediately is not quashed simply because I now am more conscientious of its existence, right? I know that urge is there, but that doesn't just make it stop happening. And related to this specific activation of that feeling, part of me knows how to make a good video essay, right? I know just from watching this last one that there is a researching section, a writing section, a re-researching, a refining, all of this taking place before the actual physical steps of filming in that space that you've set up and kind of presenting all of the information to the camera. There's a lot of different steps. And of course the editing. Conceptually knowing how to do something and actually putting those thoughts into practice, however, Those are two very different types of knowledge. Pride tells us if we possess that first understanding, the second form of knowledge will naturally follow. Even if we've never made a video essay, we can do just as good as that person we just watched. In fact, we could probably give them some pointers as well so they can make their work even better, just with a little bit of assistance from us. I know I can't be the only person who's had those sort of thoughts when watching something, which is something I've never even tried to do, right? But you're like, oh, you just do this and you make it a little bit better. And while elements of that reasoning may be true, for example, if you have a story you're trying to tell, you could probably make a better music video than the person who's just focusing on flashy visuals. We only actually know what we can make and where our talents truly lie after we put those cerebral skills to the test. In many ways, I personally find editing a lot easier than the initial act of creation. I think this follows the same sort of mindset as that. I'm incredibly grateful I got to watch Dr. K's video on the reason we feel intimidated before I experienced this particular set of emotions relating to watching that really lovely video essay. If you're not familiar with them already, Healthy Gamer GG is a YouTube channel that provides fantastic mental health resources kind of targeted towards the gamer community and those of us who are very often online. And it really just provides a lot of fantastic resources and community for us. I've found so many of their videos useful and actionable for myself, and I also feel like I understand those around me better thanks to Dr. K and the channel as well. But thanks to that specific video on intimidation and just this process I've been going through over the past few years that I outlined in my perfectionism and fear of failure video as well, while experiencing these feelings in relation to this other creator, it wasn't nearly as hard for me as it would have been in the past for me to kind of unpack it and see where these feelings were actually coming from and then address them. Seeing someone be better than you at something can easily trigger the reflex for us to retreat. For me, the instinct was, you shouldn't even bother making YouTube videos. She's already communicating this message so much better than you possibly could. And of course, I couldn't communicate that specific message as well as she did in that video there. I hadn't researched it, I hadn't wrote a script, I hadn't sat down to write it, I hadn't organized all my thoughts and then edited it out in a way that, is good and beautiful and presented to the world intentionally. But none of that logical frame of thought can only come after you experience the initial not good enoughness, right? That jealousy almost. And this also isn't to say that just because I didn't know the specific path to doing something doesn't mean I couldn't find it after a little bit of wandering in the woods or perhaps stopping to ask someone for directions along the way. But consciously addressing those feelings lets you locate their logical fallacies. I think one of the biggest things we ignore when these feelings rise up inside of us is the entirety of what it took us to get to this point in life, right? She had an entire path and journey, different difficulties and failures and accomplishments all coming together to create the current life that she is living, the current content that she is creating, that all kind of came together. We are a product of every choice we've ever made, everything that's ever happened to us, every place we've ever gone, every person we've ever talked to, all stacking up on top of each other to create our specific circumstance. And when we look at someone else's current circumstance and we go, oh, I want that, we are completely disconnecting our brains from all of the previous timeline that went up until that place. My entire previous timeline here has built up to where I am. And there is so much, I'm completely discounting so many achievements and wonderful things I've done, and lives I've touched, and skills I've learned, and just the complete differentness of me as a person kind of gets thrown out the window when you're looking at someone else and going, ooh, but they're good at that, and I really want that. We completely ignore all of this goodness about us, right? So when I settle myself back into the fullness of my being and address the situation as a whole, I can look at the situation objectively and go, I I'm not specifically on this platform to spread awareness about the reform that is needed in our school system or in society and those structural changes that we really do need to make. Even though I emotionally resonate with some of what she's sharing and see it as incredibly valuable, that doesn't mean that I should have been making the exact same thing. When I find someone who puts good, solid words to thoughts and feelings that I instinctively hold but maybe have never verbalized, I can have a twofold response. The yes, exactly, what a good point, alongside the why didn't I say that? People need to hear this. I think sometimes in appreciating the good that others do, we kind of want that achievement for ourselves. Try to fill a hole. Maybe with, oh, that's a good thing, and if I associate it with myself, then I'm also a good thing, and maybe it's an ego thing there. I don't know, I need to unpack that more. But after stopping and thinking about all of this, I am aware that I don't want to be her. Zoe is already doing a fabulous job about that. I should be me. But who is that? That's a question for another day as well. I think there's often going to be a ping of, I wish I made that, when you see something that hits close to home about something you care about. But my ego isn't so massive that I need to be mad that somebody else beat me to it. Rather, I can be so glad that it already exists. That there are people who think the same way as me, and we're kind of in the solidarity with this together, with them being able to put those ideas out there. They're doing the good work. We are united on this front, right? So, I'm not going to retreat from YouTube. I'm not going to look at this mirror of me in a different life and take that as a sign that I should run away. I'm trying to base my vision of myself in reality rather than fantasy nowadays anyway. And this is just another great reminder of that. So instead, I am reminded of the incredible diversity on this platform and that so many people do things well. It is easier for me to return to my baseline of excitement about creating when I choose to celebrate others and their stupendous talents rather than viewing their existence as a challenge to my worthiness. It still annoys me that I don't just already experientially know how to make great things. But I am looking forward to translating all of this, first step knowledge and seeing what it is I can create. Because once I take that step, then I know where I'm starting from. And from there, I get to figure out which are the next steps to take. Do you guys experience these sort of feelings as well? This was just a pang in my chest and a few thoughts and feelings flashing across my mind before I sat down to really write it all out and be able to share it. I have some form of deep, complicated thought process like this every day, and I'm part of figuring out which is important to share on YouTube, I think, is going to be part of this process for me. I don't know how much value this holds to other people. I know the whole experiential process within myself was really important, but I don't know how much of this is giving value to you. I want to feel that solidarity and communicating with others about these things that I asked you if you feel these things, but I do already think that you do. That was just a framing device. I don't think I'm alone in this, and you don't have to be either. I like talking about these things. So subscribe to join the variety that is the current chaos on my channel. Like the video to tell YouTube that I have value. Don't forget that I love you, and I will see you in my next video that you choose to click on.